If you notice the way I look, I'm a bit different. I have my eyebrows and my hair. It's natural, but I grew up that way. So as early as I can remember, I was always being like stared at, looked at differently. Wherever I go, like kids will just stare and look and like, that guy so weird, or like that boy so weird, how come? Or children might ask their mom, their parents, like mommy, daddy, how come the skin is white, brown? I think mom tried her best to make it funny and cute. Like she said, I love Dalmatians, and you're like a Dalmatian, you're my Dalmatian, you know. Don't know if it helped, but it's like, okay, tries to make a joke out of it as a whole. I became very mischievous, like I was like, became very naughty in that sense. And since everybody thinks I'm weird, then like, so be it. I'm just gonna be, however I feel like doing, I do. From very, very young, I always wanted to be a fighter pilot. I just think it's so cool. My thought process was this: I am going to do whatever it takes, anything I can, to become a pilot, a fighter pilot. And then I went through. There was these medical checkups, and my first thing is like, I look like that. They might. What if I can't fly because there's a glass cockpit? Then there's a lot of sun. What if these things are affected? Or I know my hearing on my left side might not be as good as my right. These things like that. So I went for the medical. It wasn't smooth. There were even bumps in between. And then in the interview, I was so nervous. So every single time this process, I'll be like, okay, looking at signs, like maybe this is it. This is my destiny that is for me. And every single moment, I'm like, if it's not it, then let it not just die. Let it just die away, so that I don't have to keep my hopes growing and building. It's almost like so scared that I don't make it, but every step that I was going closer to it. And I couldn't almost believe it. It's like, couldn't imagine not making it. I had to. I wanted to. Then I was sent to Australia to do they call this air grading course. So it's 14 different flights. And then they will grade you as you fly. There were 10 applicants. One of them literally could fly already. And then out of the 9 of us, only one made it out of those 9 others. So it was very high pressure, high stakes. Every day you go through a bit of a theory lesson, and then immediately you are seated in the actual plane, flown up. And then while you are being flown to practice, actually, you are being tested on. So it's like straight away. And then you land back, and then you're graded whether you passed that learning / testing moment. Yeah. And I think I was basically reaching my limit. I feel also because of my lack of discipline in my earlier years in the studying side of things. So I was like really starting to jam up. And by the 5th flight, that was my last flight because there's 14 of them on the 5th flight. The major, who's very nice, he's like, Caleb, I'm sorry that this will be your last flight with us with RSAF, and this career ends here. I wish you all your best for your future journey as well. And then it just hit me. I was still in the plane. Still remember like the propeller, using a propeller plane, and then I was seeing this view. Then like everything just kind of crashed. Yeah, it's just very hard to swallow at that point. I'm like, why did everything bring me to this place only for me to fail it? And it's I don't remember at that point of time studying that hard and pushing that hard to want something before in my life. I felt like very isolated, and then when I flew back, that's when it really, really, really hit home. Like it was really hard for me when I came back home to Singapore, because then it's like facing the music. I just felt very lost. And then I think the word would be like meaningless. Like everything felt meaningless, because the next 2 months was just like being in army, going back to camp. They'll make jokes about it. You kind of laugh along with them because you don't want to look like that guy, right? I felt very alone. I felt like no one understands. I felt like no one could feel how I could possibly have felt. Could they understand like an entire life dream just thrown away? At that point in time, that's how I felt. So it's the first time that I can remember really questioning like, what was life? What's the point of life? What's the use of all these things? God, are you real? So these questions really, really kicked in very hard. I was feeling very depressed, very down. And it translated outwardly as frustration and anger, rather than being like just cooped up. I got very bitter towards life. When I saw people's successes, I felt very sour. So I felt really, really down. I struggled with a lot of questions. I didn't really have a backup plan. And now it seemed like my world kind of crashed and I felt very useless. Interestingly, my sister, basically she was in the States. But she left home much earlier because we have a 12-year age gap. So she's in the States then, and we haven't really contacted much because when she left Singapore, I was like 8, 9 years old. When she really left, she was 18 back then when she left home. She called me and she said, Caleb, like, I want you to know. Then she shared these things. And she said, but I love you. Her husband, which is my brother-in-law, we're not even that close. So it's like, Gabriel loves you, we love you. We want you to know no matter how lousy you feel, even if you don't feel like you'll ever come out of anything, does not matter, we love you. And we believe in you. And it's like all of a sudden there was this hope moment or this love moment that kicked in really hard. I just broke down and I cried. Yeah. And then I think when she saw me crying, she said, okay, like I need to, maybe it was like a call for big sister to go and connect back with the brother. So in the weeks after that, she would call me regularly, ask me how am I. I actually felt like hurt or known. So when she FaceTimed me, I was very excited to go on the phone. Financially, they're not very well off. You know, she just works in a simpler job, and Gabe is a pizza delivery. And they've been saving up. I think, for about a year over for their kid, because they were planning to have a kid. But what happened was when she called me that FaceTime video, she said, Caleb, we love you so much, and we want to give up what we've been saving up for the kid to bless you to go for your to study in the States. And it broke me just to experience like someone. It's like a sacrifice, like a sacrificial kind of love. It's easy to say I love you, but it means something else when there's action behind it. And for charity and Gabe, they gave up their savings for the kid, and I kind of know from that they're not financially, super well off and whatnot. And I'm like, but what do you mean? Like, go there and study? Like, how does it look like? I've never planned this, never had this thought even. And the whole process was amazing. Like, I ended up enjoying my 3 years there. It really changed my life, and it's just absolutely amazing. Yeah, and it was really moving from being extremely hopeless to really finally realizing like someone hurt me, and I can have a chance at life that looks different from what I originally dreamed. I feel like you might not maybe necessarily want to be a fighter pilot, but I believe that you might have had your dreams dashed in so many things. Maybe it's your dream school to go to, maybe it was the dream grades, maybe it was the dream job, or even the dream relationship. And I had that dream, and that dream felt like it was taken from me, and I felt so alone. But when my sister came in and she called me, I encountered God through her. I encountered God through love. And I just want to invite you, like, there's so much more to life than even what you can feel like a failure right now. There is life and there is love, and God loves you, and He has a plan for your life, and He's more excited for you than you possibly can be for yourself. Hi, my name is Caleb. This is my story, our story in one story.